Hi guys, welcome to this video, and in this video I'm going to talk about the 4 biggest shifts that I made that got me to 1, 2, 3 dates a week consistently and predictably. The key words here are consistently and predictably. And not only me, not only myself, but also my clients. All these shifts, those are the shifts that need to happen if you want to get to a place where you have an abundance of women, where you're able to get dates consistently. Those are the shifts that need to happen. Okay, so in this video, we're going to talk about the 3 biggest shifts that I personally made in my dating life, okay? I'm gonna show you how to generate options consistently. Now, in one of my past videos, I've talked about the dating success journey. So if you're not aware of it, there's a certain journey you have to go through if you're starting out with this. So if you're just a newbie, if you're just a beginner, if right now you're getting 0 dates, or maybe you're getting 1 date every few months, and you're kind of lonely, you're kind of frustrated, you're a bit confused, you're not able to approach women consistently, you don't really know what to say, your online presence sucks, and you're always matching with either unattractive girls or very flaky type of girls who aren't showing up to dates, then you're an amateur. You're an amateur, you're just relying on luck, you have an average lifestyle, and you're almost feeling like you're gonna settle with average, but you know there's still hope. So you're an amateur. Now, stage 2, you're a beginner too. So, but you're a more advanced beginner. Okay, so stage 2, you take a bit of action, you gain a bit of confidence. Maybe you go to clubs sometimes, maybe you approach a few girls, maybe you have a few wingmen, you're trying a few things, you're getting a few dates, but most of those dates are low quality, and you're trying to improve your lifestyle. So you are basically slowly leveling up in stage 2, but it's still not there yet. And then stage 3, that's where you're more advanced. That's when you can get dates consistently whenever you want. That's when your game is on point. You know what to say, you know how to say it, you know who you are and who you want to become. You have a very strong identity as well. And you have a high status online presence that projects high status, basically. I mean, the goal of having an online presence is to convey high status and to attract opportunities, whether romantic opportunities or networking opportunities, financial opportunities. But the goal of your online presence is to use that as a funnel for your personal brand, basically. And then your personal brand links to your business or your career, and your romantic life as well. But anyway, stage 3, you're able to get dates consistently, you know how to retain women consistently, maybe you have a girlfriend already, you can easily focus on your business and your career because you know already what to do in your dating life, and you're not confused anymore, you just know what to do. You have all these systems, you have cold approach systems on point, you have online systems on point, and you have social circle systems on point, okay? Now, I'm gonna show you here how I went from getting 0 dates, okay? I remember back in college, I was good looking, I was pretty cool, I was pretty smart guy, but I wasn't taking the right action, I was relying on luck, and I had this ego thing where I wouldn't approach girls for some reason. Like I was always waiting for girls to approach me, which was a big mistake. Even though I was pretty good looking, even though I was in a pretty good school, even though, yeah, I would get laid maybe like once every 3 months or something, like pretty rarely, even more sometimes. Especially my first year in college wasn't that good. So yeah, I mean, it's not about the looks, guys. It's not about the looks. It's not about necessarily the status even. There's a lot of things that are due to your charisma, your game, and your ability to take risks, your ability to take action with women. Because if you take no action, even if you're shredded, even if you're jacked, even if you have a lot of money, you have a nice car, girls are not gonna come to you. Girls are not gonna fucking knock at your door. And those who do, they were probably attracted by your money, not necessarily yourself. So yeah, I mean, do you wanna attract gold diggers and prostitutes? Probably no. So if you wanna actually attract women with your own will, like become a chooser instead of being the chosen, you wanna become a chooser. If you wanna become a chooser, then stick to this video. So the first shift I made is I worked on strengthening my frame. You see, your identity is the most important thing you need to work on, because if you want to change your results, you need to become someone who can get those results. Otherwise, you would be there already. Like if you're not having the level of success you want with women, if you're not having the bank account you want, if you're not having the body you want, it's safe to assume that you haven't become the type of person who would get those results. And if you want to attain those results, you have to become a different person. You have to level up in your identity. Now, with women also, having a strong frame is going to enable you to pass their tests and to also appear very strong in your identity. And that's a very big turn on with women, because a woman wants a guy with a strong backbone. She wants a guy who knows who he is, who knows what he wants, who is ambitious, who has standards, who has strong values. And if you have a very weak frame, if you have no backbone, if you're just a yes man, if you don't have any standards, then a woman can sense it. Now, a strong frame can only come from a strong internal locus of control. And so your locus of control is basically how much control do you have over your own life? Like, do you blame people or life for your mistakes, or do you actually take responsibility and ownership for your mistakes and you take action in your life to get your results? Because the thing is, a lot of guys, they're like a leaf in the wind. They wait for life to happen to them. They blame other people. They blame something like, oh, I'm not tall enough, or oh, I'm not rich enough, so it's normal, or oh, I always grew up, that way. I always grew up shy and timid, so why would it change now? And they always blame their past, or they blame life in general. But when you have a strong frame, you take responsibility, you take ownership, and you know that, if you change your actions, if you change your thoughts, if you change the way you conduct yourself in life, you can attain any goal you want. So you need to build a strong identity. If your identity is weak, women will sense it. So you have to take the time to define what kind of man you want to be, what kind of life you want to have, what kind of women you want to attract, because if you're not clear on that, then how do you want to communicate it? Like, if you don't know what type of man you are, if you don't know what type of life you want to live, how the fuck do you want to communicate that to women, So you have to define it first. And by defining it, you're going to have a lot more confidence in who you are, right? Now, some elements that also contribute to having a strong frame is, obviously connecting with your purpose as a man, having deep self-belief, having some past reference experiences that you can refer to. And, if you know that you've been successful in the past in various situations, that's going to give you a lot more confidence to act in those situations. For example, now, I've had so many dates, I've had so many experiences with girls, I've been out, I've gone out like so many times that I have all these positive reference experiences in my head that, I'm very confident when I'm in a nightclub, for example, because I know exactly what to do, and I've pretty much seen every single scenario that could happen, and I've made every single mistake that could happen. So I understand. So because of that, because of those reference experiences, I have more confidence. Confidence can only come from competence mainly. If you're not competent at something, it's very hard to be confident at it. That's why with women and with social skills, that also comes from the competence. You need to understand a lot of social nuances, and by understanding those nuances, by understanding like communication and psychology at a high level, you're going to develop a lot of confidence when you talk to people. And obviously letting go of fears, letting go of insecurities. Some of you guys have limiting beliefs. Some of you guys have approach anxiety, or you have a lot of hesitation or fear when you approach women. All of these things, you need to deal with them if you want to strengthen your frame. Okay, and that's something that's 100% in your control. Okay, no matter what your sub story is, your dating life, your results with women, your financial life, your physique, all of these things are 100% in your control. Okay, so what I mean by locus of control earlier, as I said, is you need to have this frame that you can determine your future, that you can make things happen, that you can change everything. Okay, that's what having a strong frame on a macro level is. But then a guy who has a guy who has a weak frame is usually basically letting life happen to him. Like he's at the effect of life instead of being at the cause of life. So when you have a strong frame, you're at the cause of life and you're at the cause of your interactions with women as well. But when you have a weak frame, you're at the effect of women. You're at the effect of life. Things just happen to you. Instead of making things happen to you. Okay? So you don't want to have a weak frame. You always want to have a strong frame, especially with women. Because women want to be led. Women want a man that they can follow, and women want to just follow your leadership, and they don't want to have to make decisions, right? So having a strong frame is super important. And you'll see, you know, a guy who has a weak frame in interactions with women is going to be the guy who is screened by women all the time. Women are going to test him. Women are going to try to make him qualify himself, etc. And you can know by noticing that this guy has a weak frame. But a guy who has a strong frame, he's usually the screener. He's usually the one being at the cause and the woman being at the effect of him. Okay, so this is very, very powerful to understand. Now, number 2, you have to work on raising your value. So your value as a man can be developed over a long amount of time, obviously. I mean, that's what I always say, like you're never a finished product. You can always improve. You can always, like level up your position in life. And it's not just about the money. It's also about the charisma, the style, the ability to provide good emotions and fun. So even your personality can evolve. Like through your personality, you can raise your value as well. It's not just money or status or having a good job or being an entrepreneur. Like there's many things, right? But obviously, if you want to improve your value as a man, develop some skills, develop some competence in some field. If you have a business, great. If you have a great career, awesome as well. You don't need to have a business. You can have a high-level career. That's very respectable as well. If you're a doctor or a high-level engineer or you're an IT guy or whatever, you have a great career, then good for you. If you're in finance, one of my best friends, he works at JP Morgan. Very respectable, you don't need to have a business. But the main thing is you want to have something that allows you to have money, a baseline of money, a baseline of finance, because life takes money. I mean, if you want to have a date with some girls, like you need money, like you need money to pay for dates, you need money to go out, you need money to have a nice apartment somewhere, right? So obviously you need a baseline of income. Now you can also improve your value by obviously improving your looks, your height. I mean, height, you can improve it maybe by wearing some like bigger shoes or something. But yeah, I mean, grooming, stuff like that, style. And then, your knowledge. So basically you can improve your value by working on the 4 components, like the physical component, the financial component, so physical, financial, mental, so intelligence, knowledge, education, and then social component, like having a lot of friends, connections, network, etc. Right? So those are the main components you need to work on as a man, and the goal is to become 1% better every day, every week. Now, it's unrealistic to be 1% better every single day, but at least if you consistently show up to the gym, if you consistently read books, if you consistently learn from people, if you consistently surround yourself with quality peers, well, no way you're not going to improve over time, So that's one of the main things. Now, let's move on. Now, one thing I want to say is it doesn't matter whether you want to get a girl, whether you want to make money, whether you want to gain status. As a man, we live in a hyper-competitive environment, especially nowadays. If you want a beautiful girl, you're competing against other men. Like, every man wants a girl like this. Every man wants a girl with nice titties, a nice ass, a beautiful face, a young girl in her 20s. Like, every guy wants that. Okay, you're not the only man who had the idea of getting a girl like this. Okay, so you have to be as successful as possible in all realms. You have to be as good looking, as funny, as smart, as spontaneous, as interesting, as charismatic, as rich as possible. You need to try very, very hard to be your absolute best and to be just the absolute best man you can be, 1% better every single week. That's the mindset. And by doing so, what's going to happen is you're going to crack through different tiers of attractiveness. And eventually you're going to get to the top and you're going to be able to attract any girl you want, even the 9s and 10s. Now, I said this many times, there's no 10s, nobody's perfect. I've never met a perfect human being, so there's no fucking 10s. But a 9.5, 9.2, whatever you want to call it. In any case, once you crack through different tiers of attractiveness and you get to the top and you have a lot of status, that's when you're going to attract the absolute best women. You know, you can't be a loser and expect to attract high quality women, you know, like you're not deserving of that. You know, a lot of guys are losers and they expect to get high quality girls. A lot of guys, you know, live in their mom's basement, play video games all day, are fat, dress like shit, and they expect to get high quality girls with pickup lines. You know, it's like trying to win a race with a push bike when you're racing against a Ferrari. You know, there's only so hard you can pedal, right? Like, you can't win that race, even with your pickup line and your techniques and your gimmicks. Like, it's push bike versus Ferrari. You know, the guy who worked on himself for many years, the guy who, worked his ass off to build a business and to be financially free and to travel the world and to dress well and to, become knowledgeable in some field. Like, he worked on himself. If yourself, like, you didn't do shit and you did some things, but you're still like a bit, you're not like at your peak. I mean, you're not going to win the race against the guy who's at his peak, right? And you can peak too. You can peak too when you level up, okay? So do you want to be a push bike or do you want to be a Ferrari, right? There's only so many tricks and tips. There's only so many game things you can do. Pickup lines won't save you. If you're a loser, it's going to be very, very difficult and it's going to get very, very hard for you over the next couple of years. It's not getting easier, guys. It's not getting easier. Now the dating market is globalized with social media, with dating apps, with all of that. It is globalized. A woman in some in some fucking shithole in the US can't find a guy who can provide for her and fly her out to Dubai, for example. If you're a girl and you're hot, you can be in a fucking shithole. You can be living in a fucking village somewhere. But if you're on Instagram and you're hot, you can connect with a high status guy who's gonna fly you out, go to Dubai with him on his yacht and have the good life without doing anything. But for a guy, it's different. You can't do that. For a guy, you need to level up one step at a time until you become high status and you crack through different tiers of attractiveness. All right, so pickup lines and tricks can only get you so far. And that's why having a clear strategy and system is very key. Because even if you have a lot of money, even if you're very attractive, even if you're high status, you still need to put in the work because girls are not going to knock at your door and just come to your bed without you doing anything. Unless she's a prostitute or a gold digger, as I said. But I guess you don't want to have a gold digger or a prostitute. So if you don't want to have one of those, if you want to have genuine connections with girls that you're attracted to, then you need to have a strategy. How are you going to attract these girls? What process are you going to use? What method, right? There's 3 methods mainly. Cold approach methods, either during daytime or nighttime. Online methods, dating apps, Instagram, and then social circle. Right? And the dating market has changed tremendously. So the strategies that you used to do like in 2010 for cold approach are not the same as right now in 2023. Women are more savvy. You need a bit more social savviness and more riz. Like you need to be smooth. You need to be smooth these days, okay? Especially online. So when I started myself, I didn't really have a strategy. I was just going out with my friends, getting drunk on the weekends. And maybe if I were lucky, I would meet a girl in a nightclub and somehow I would get laid, but it would be all a matter of luck and I would be drunk the whole time. I tried to do some cold approaches, but I would always like half-ass them back in the day because I didn't really know what to do and how to do it. I would just self-eject from interactions. I would just do some bullshit. Like I wouldn't be able to stick to a conversation and actually close. Same thing on dating apps. I would waste a lot of time. I would watch a lot of YouTube videos, but it was a lot of mental masturbation because I wasn't really doing anything. And most of these videos weren't really pragmatic. It was all about mindset and stuff like that. Okay. And then I invested in my first mentor at the age of 18. I started adopting the right pragmatic strategies. I remember when I invested in my first mentor, I was broke, I was a student, I had like 4K in debt. But still, it worked out. And since then, I invested a lot more money. I invested more than 50K in trainings, courses, mastermind, coaching programs. And honestly, it was all worth it because I made 10x the money since then. So invest in yourself, guys, because it pays the best interest. And when you invest in yourself, that's when you learn the right stuff to do. You learn the right strategies, the right systems. And that's what we cover in my programs as well. Now, the fourth thing is, back in the day, I only had like one source of leads. I would just do online dating because I wouldn't want to bother with approaching women in real life. And I've seen that a lot. Like a lot of guys, they use online dating as a crutch because they're not able to approach in real life. Either they don't have the balls or they don't know what to do, so they're not going for it. And so you don't want to just do online. And you don't want to just do cold approach too. You don't want to be a one-trick pony. You want to have multiple sources and you want to be able to approach women in any situation. You want to be versatile, okay? It's like having one single source of income. It's fine, you can do so, but it's not ideal and it limits you. Same thing with women, you want to have many sources of leads, okay? With women, you want to have many lead generation sources and you want to have various funnels. Right now, for example, I get dates from approaching women at the gym sometimes. I get dates from approaching women in the street. I get dates from approaching women in bars and nightclubs. I get dates from online, from either dating apps or Instagram. I get dates through my social circle. I get dates through girls who refer me to other girls. I get dates through my friends when they organize a cool party or an event. I get dates when I travel. I can get dates everywhere, everywhere. And that's when you truly have power. You have to master it all. Nowadays you have to be multifaceted. Only cold approaching women won't work well in isolation because even if you approach a girl, she probably, if you cold approached a girl and she doesn't know you, she probably will want to see your online presence before having a date with you. She wants to see who is this guy online? How does he look like? What is his life like? And so having an online presence, taking her Instagram when you cold approach and her seeing your Instagram and seeing how you conduct your life online is going to make her a lot more interested to come on a date with you if you're just a stranger who approached her in the street, for example. And with Instagram, I've turned a lot of cold leads into warm leads. There's a lot of women I met in real life who initially were pretty neutral. They weren't that interested, but then they followed me and they saw my stories and they saw my posts. And after a few days or weeks, they reached out to me. They commented on my story, or they just invited me themselves for a drink or something. So that's why I really believe in the power of synergy and just using cold approach tactics with online and with social circle, because social circle too is important. Because if you don't have any cool friends, if you don't have any cool social life, you're just a loner. Women don't want to date loners. They want to date the guy who has friends that respect him, who has a cool lifestyle, a lifestyle that is exciting. You have parties going on, you go to some cool restaurants maybe, you have fun friends. That's what they want, right? So universally, as I said, there are only 3 ways to get consistent dates: either cold approach, online, social circle. Now, we cover all these ways in the program, in my Dating Accelerator program. But yeah, those systems, if you master them, there's no way you're not going to have an abundance of women if you take action. If you just know and you don't take action, then you're not going to have anything. But so knowledge without action is only potential power. You need to have action as well. And it takes consistency like anything else. And to get from stage 1 to stage 3, or to get from stage 2 to stage 3, you need to have all these systems and you need to learn them from someone who knows what he's doing. You're not going to reinvent the wheel. You're not going to figure it out with YouTube videos. You're not going to figure it out with books. Trust me, if books were the solution, librarians would be millionaires. People who work in bookstores or librarians would be fucking millionaires. I know plenty of guys who read tons of books, but they're not making money. They read a lot of books about money and stuff like that, but they're not making money. It's just mental masturbation. Yes, they get a few nuggets. Books are great to get you a few nuggets, to get you to understand a few things, but then the pragmatic application of those books that's another story. You need to potentially being coached or having feedback, especially with dating. Dating is one of these things where you need to have someone who looks at what you're doing and who gives you feedback, because otherwise it's hard to adjust, right? That's why a lot of my clients, they send me screenshots of their conversations. They send me recordings of their approaches. They always ask me questions like, oh, the girl said this, so what should I do in this situation? Or, oh, this happened, what should I do next time? And with feedback and with the right systems, you can adjust things and just get to the next level very quickly. Okay? And so in my Dating Accelerator program, we cover all these systems in details along with everything else. We also cover how to retain a woman long term. We cover the mindset, the frame, female psychology. We cover also a lot of things about health and fitness and nutrition and sleep and all of that. And plus, you're going to network with other guys all over the world. And that's why we have hundreds of success stories, because we provide our clients all the elements they need to crush it long term without sacrificing their goals. And we have new success stories coming up every week. Just follow me on Instagram. You'll see every single week I'm posting success stories. And if you're serious about getting to the next level in your dating life and you want to attract the highest quality women consistently and predictably while crushing it in your business and your career, then click the link in the description. There's a link to book a game plan call with us, with my team below. And let's chat together, no strings attached. We're not going to sell you necessarily on the sales call or whatever. It's going to be a very chill conversation between you and I, or you and one of my guys in my team. And we're just going to talk about your situation. We're going to talk about your goals. We're going to show you some of the systems you can put in place, give you a game plan. And then if you're the right fit, yeah, you can move forward with us and actually take it to the next level. But yeah, no strings attached. Just click the link below. Book a call. Is going to be very valuable regardless of whether you join the program or not. And I'm sure you're going to get a lot of value from it. And these systems work. I mean, if you enroll with us and you actually take this seriously and you want to get to the next level, it's going to work for you if you take action. But if you don't take action, if you stay on the sidelines, if you just stay by yourself and you fumble around by yourself, like, it's not going to work. Okay? So do yourself a favor. You're going to thank yourself later. Just click the link below, book a game plan call, and I look forward to helping you with this. I hope this video helped. I hope you got some value out of this video. You can subscribe, you can like this video. I would appreciate that. Also, make sure you drop a comment if you like this video. That's going to help with the algorithm, and more people are going to see this video. And don't hesitate to reach out to me via DM if you have any questions or if you have anything you want to say. So thank you guys. See you on the next video and talk to you very soon.